Good afternoon. Welcome to All Things Talk. There has been some structural changes to the Australian banking industries in the recent years. As a result of Royal Commission's inquiries, the banks, especially the large ones, are basically fined billions of dollars for AML, fees for no service, and other misconducts as well. So there's a significant trend for all the banks to withdraw from non-banking business like financial planning, stockbroking, insurance, etc., just to focus on their core banking business. At the same time, there are some exciting new players in the market as well. They are called the neobanks. Those banks are technology and data driven. They are here to offer better savings and loans products with better experiences, of course, and they are growing really, really fast. One of the best performer is 86400. So joining us today from Sydney is the CEO of 86400, Mr. Robert Bell, who's going to tell us a bit more about the exciting landscape of neobanks in Australia and what the bank is currently doing. Welcome, Rob, to the program.
Oh, thanks very much. It's an absolute pleasure to be joining you, Eric.
Thanks, Rob. So tell us, what is a neobank and why customers should choose neobank like 86400 over the traditional banks in Australia?
Well, look, neo really just means new bank. And I think to understand why neobanks are appearing around the world, you have to think about, first of all, about the technology that the large incumbent banks are using. Effectively, most of the large banks have a huge spaghetti of technology they've patched together over 40 and 50 years. And so they're not using the latest technology. They're not able to move really fast. They're not utilizing data like they should. It's also happening because people are actually looking for a better product or a better service or a better experience. You've mentioned the Royal Commission as one in Australia, which really highlighted some pretty poor practices from the 4 large banks in Australia. But it goes beyond that as well. It's not just the practices that were uncovered, it's the services that you actually are not getting from your big 4 bank. And technology companies like 86400 have just a huge opportunity to meet consumer demand by using the latest technology.
I see. When you say it's taking a very short-term and also smaller team to build a bank from scratch, can you give us a bit of numbers, how the numbers look like?
Yeah, so 86400, we received our full banking license only 1 year ago. So we've been a full bank for 1 year. And we've been in operation, and we started building the bank just on 3 years ago. At the moment, we are a team of only 100 people. And we are running a bank which offers transaction accounts, savings accounts, and home loans. So a fully functioning retail bank operating with just 100 people. And actually, in fact, when we started, we only had 12 people. And the big difference between us and, say, a traditional bank, we have half of our team are technologists, either engineers or developers or user experience designers, technology leads. So that's an incredible ratio for a bank. Typically, technology in a big 4 bank would be a department. It wouldn't be considered the core of everything. And that's what it is for us. Technology is the core of everything about 86400.
So if I'm a consumer, and sure, I see all these big banks on the streets and all that, with 86400 and other neobanks, everything's just app-based. And so people would be, thinking, okay, will the security will be one of the concerns, and also, say, why would neobanks can offer a better products comparing to, I mean, we talk about the technology factors, but can a technology-based bank offer better products in terms of what you mentioned, the savings accounts and loans accounts, and how do we be different comparing to the other banks?
Look, it's a really good question, and I actually get asked all the time, why does Australia need another bank? And my response usually surprises people, because Australia doesn't need another bank if it's going to be exactly like all the other banks in Australia. It really has to be different. And what we did with 86400 is right from the day one, we said, what is the problem we're trying to solve? And the data showed us, and we're very data orientated, with a technology background, we're always looking at the data. And the data showed us a couple of things. It first of all told us that customers are already being multiple banked. So they already have a relationship with multiple banks and non-banks. The second thing the data showed us is that people are making more transactions with their card and with their phone in a day than they've ever had before. And they actually have more money coming out of their accounts automatically through direct debits and direct payments than they ever had before. And what it means is that consumers are finding it harder to manage their money and control their money. It actually leaves people feeling anxious about their money. And so when we designed 86400, right from day one, we designed it to help Australians take control of their money. So when you look at our app, the features in there are actually designed to help people take control of their money. On the one hand, of course, we've got all the things that you'd expect from a bank, payments, real-time payments, BPay, being able to transfer money, transaction account, tap your phone, tap your card, Apple Pay, Samsung Pay. We've got a savings account, we've got a home loan. But on the other hand, we have a whole series of features that you wouldn't expect from a bank. The first one is we allow you to see the balances of all your other banks in the 86400 app alongside your 86400 account. So straight away, we're helping you take control of the money because you can see it all in the one place. The second thing we do is we use data really smartly to help people take control of their money. So if you think about banking, banks have always given you a bank statement, which is just a picture of what happened in the past. It's a history and a record of what happened. It's really of no use to you in planning forward. What 86400 does with the data is we use it, for example, to predict what bills are going to come out of your account in the future. So this is the first time that a bank is actually using data to help a customer in a predictive manner. So we will say to you, hey, Eric, your Netflix bill is coming out in 7 days. It's going to be $19.95 because I'm sure you pay for the premium service. Or your gym membership is coming out in 10 days, or your insurance is in 20 days. And why that's important is it really helps people take control of their money. They can decide whether they actually need that subscription or not. They can make sure they've got money in their account to pay those bills. So that's just 2 examples of how we're doing banking really different to the way the traditional banks do. And we go to extremes to do this. So for example, with our savings account, we only have one criteria to earn bonus interest each month. You must deposit $1,000 a month. Now, normally what a big bank would do is they would celebrate if you didn't put $1,000 in each month because they wouldn't have to pay you the bonus interest. There'd be product managers going, yes. We just turn that on its head and we take the completely opposite view. We actually give a customer a reminder in the app. 3 days before the end of the month, we will say, hey, you've only put $980 in. Please put another $20 in to have the best opportunity to earn the maximum interest. And so, we've turned it on their head. We've got these features that actually surprise people. They go, wow, a bank has never done that for me before. They would never do that. And so we're building this great trust with our customers, and we're building a community where we actually do put our customers' interests first. We're working on the principle that we want to give our best deals to our existing customers, and then they will tell other customers to come and join us. It's a very different way of thinking about it.
It's a new thinking as well, isn't it? It's a totally different way of operating the banking in this modern world. So when you say, so once since we got the full banking license, this is like 12 months ago now, and how many customers do we have, and what sort of book do we have at 86400?
So we haven't, we actually don't publish our customer numbers anywhere, but just to give you a sort of a sense of how much we've grown. So in that 12 months, we have over 300 million of customer deposits on our book. We have 50 million of home loans that we've written already. So those numbers are really, really strong for the early days of a bank. But the reality is we're only really just getting started. The reality is that most Australians don't know about us yet, and there's a huge opportunity for us to really ramp up and grow. And the good thing about 86400 is that our technology is very, very scalable. So it doesn't make any difference to us whether 100 customers join us on one day or whether 2,000 customers join us on one day. Everything is straight through. There are no human touch points in that process. So we have the capacity to onboard many customers without having to have a branch network, without having to use post box or post offices or mail documents. It's just very straight through.
I remember when I was trying to open the 86400 accounts, everything just was done like 2 or 3 minutes, right? So putting your license number, everything is just getting done right away.
It's generally download the app and 2 minutes to join. And some of our really good tech customers have been able to do it even quicker. If you're fast with your fingers, you can probably do it in 1 minute. But generally it's around 2 minutes. If you're a bit slower with your thumbs, maybe 3 minutes. But it's very, very quick to join. So we wanted to make it really, really easy, and we wanted to make it so they could join us without any friction points. And that will enable us to grow really fast in the future.
That's the same thing with loan approval as well, right? Understanding 86400 is only doing loans with brokers industries right now, but from what I heard, the whole processing time is pretty fast as well.
Yes, we've had loans approved in 2 and 3 and 4 hours from application to unconditional approval, which is incredible. But the reason we can do that is that we have solved for the broker pain point. So we distribute our mortgages through mortgage brokers, and we have digitized every single bit of the process that we can. So we don't ask for physical statements of income. We don't ask for pay slips. We don't ask for physical bank statements. We use technology to take 12 months of history of income and 3 months history of expenses. We use smart algorithms to categorize those expenses, so we meet all our lending obligations, and then we present all the documents back to the broker and ultimately to the customer digitally to sign. And so that means that the process is much more efficient, and it's a much better experience for both the customer and the broker. And of course, look, COVID-19 has been a really tough time for businesses as in general. You know, we really feel for the small businesses out there and individuals who've lost their jobs. But in terms of our product, it's shown that digital in this type of environment is even more important, because otherwise you would have to go to a branch or you'd have to go to a post office, and you don't have to do any of those things with 86400.
Understand. And also the name is interesting, 86400. And why do you have a name like that?
It's an interesting name, isn't it? 86400 is actually the number of seconds in a day. And very early on, there was a very small team of people who were talking about the purpose behind 86400. That, you know, we wanted to create a bank that uses the latest technology to help people take control of their money every second of every minute of every day. It should be all the time. It shouldn't just be like 9 to 5. And one of our engineers actually said, "Oh, 86400." I didn't know what that meant. We all went to Dr. Google and realized it was the number of seconds in the day. And so that's where the name came from.
I like the name, by the way. I think it's a fantastic name.
Thank you.
Since we talk about the team, why don't we speed a little bit more on the background of the team at 86400. Understanding you were executive director of ANZ of APAC for years, and who are the other people you're currently working with at 86400?
So we've got a very experienced team. Our chairman, Anthony Thompson, this is actually the 3rd new bank that he has started. He was the founder and chairman of Metro Bank in the UK, which was the first new high street bank. And then he moved on and started the first digital bank in the UK called Atom Bank, and has joined us here at 86400 to help us build out 86400. So we have a lot of experience in our chairman. We have a very experienced board with very broad digital and banking experience. And then the team, you know, we have an incredible team right from the bottom up. And the key with the 86400 team is that we are all what I would describe digitally native. We're all passionate about technology. So our Chief Technology Officer, Brian Parker, you know, was key in building the new payments platform. He worked and effectively set up the technology for ING Direct in Australia originally. So great experience. Chief Product and Marketing Officer, worked at one of the very large banks running their digital programs for almost 20 years. So we've got a very experienced team, but I think the big difference for us is the importance we put on technology top to bottom. It's not just a department, it's something that the directors, the exec, all live and breathe every day.
and also your shareholders as well, right? I think to start a bank is pretty capital intensive, and some other neobanks has been keep raising along those years. It's always made headline to raise capitals to get the limited ADI, getting ADI and everything. But 86400 kind of silent in the capital markets for quite a while, and you guys only getting started to raise like early this year.
So look, we were very fortunate to be funded entirely by Australia's leading payments company in Cuscal, leading independent payments company Cuscal. So they provided all the initial capital and much of the expertise. And in fact, myself, I actually came from Cuscal, which is where I was working prior to taking on 86400, as well as a couple of the team as well. So we brought the experience that we had in the payments business, and Cuscal have supported us with the capital and also expertise. That enabled us to spend the first 2 years entirely focused on building the bank, which is a huge advantage. We have successfully completed our first capital raise not so long ago, in terms of bringing on additional shareholders. So Cuscal is now only a 70% shareholder, and they will reduce over time, but that will be by dilution as we bring new shareholders on. So look, banking is very capital intensive. I think you understand that, but you need capital to build a serious bank. We have no intention of building a small niche bank. We are genuinely trying to create a bank that is a genuine alternative to the big four.
It's true, right? It's good to just focus on the core banking business rather than distracted by the capital raisings, and especially as the early days. So if you're looking at the business now, and also with the business plan in the next 12 to 24 months, and I think it's also making headlines. Some other neobanks start to look at other business already, like stock brokings and other things. What will be your focus for the next 12 to 24 months to grow the bank?
Look, we think the most important thing to focus on is building our mortgage book, because at the end of the day, even with all the technology you have in the world, banking is about having both sides of the balance sheet. So we have really successfully grown savings. We've just started in mortgages. It's important that we grow both at the same time. So for the next 12 months for us, a very strong focus on growing our mortgage book, introducing customers who take out mortgages with 86400. That's the most important pathway to break even and to sustainability. We've just signed a really important partnership with one of the largest mortgage aggregators in Australia, which is AFG, who are a very successful listed company. They've got really good quality mortgage brokers, and they join the existing partnerships we have. And so there's a great opportunity for us to really ramp up our mortgages in the next 12 months.
Banking is extremely capital intensive, and understanding 86400 is also going to have another round of capital raising. And do you mind to share this with the visitors, and what's the funds going to be used for, and also at the same time, so what are sort of potential shareholders we're having conversation with?
Yeah, so look, we've just kicked off our Series B capital raise, which is really important for us. The main usage of the funds that we raise in that round is regulatory capital. So to grow the mortgage book, we need to set aside capital for those mortgages, and so about 60% of the funds we raise are actually for regulatory capital. The remaining is for actually growing the business. Technology is the next biggest expense, followed by the normal banking expenses, and followed by marketing. So that's the reason we're doing the capital raise. We're working with Morgan Stanley, a global investment bank, to help us with that, and partners. We expect that we'll have a very wide variety of investors, institutional investors, both in Australia and overseas, superannuation funds, and private offices and high net worth individuals as well. We obviously want to create a wide register of investors, and it's obviously early days for the business, but we're really excited to be able to introduce new shareholders to the register.
Understanding this is only Series B and still early days with the capital markets, but do you think for any shareholders that is this what's the plan for potential exits? I mean, I'm sure this could be something investors will be asking. Will there be a plan for IPO, or this can be potentially a takeover targets by the other big institutional players in the market, domestically and internationally?
Yeah, look, it's difficult to speculate, and I don't like to kind of forecast because there's lots of things that could happen in that time. But you get to a certain size in Australia where to raise additional capital, you need to look at the listed markets, and so it's not too difficult to see 86,400 in sort of 2 to 3 years' time IPOing. There are other alternatives that could happen in the marketplace, but we're very much just focused on meeting our targets month on month, year on year, and then obviously in consultation with our shareholders, we'll work through what we do. But a logical pathway would be a liquidity event like an IPO at some point in time.
Fantastic. And also, Warren, one last question. There are some rising of fintech players in the markets. As the CEO of 86,400, how do you see the future of financial services, not just banking? Is it going to change both here in Australia and also globally?
Look, there's no doubt in my mind that technology is going to play a bigger and bigger part in these legacy industries, and banking is a legacy industry, and so that's in payments, in the core of banking. It's on the wealth side of things. We're already seeing great things happening in wealth markets and the availability to trade shares. It's just incredible what's happening in the market. So I think that's going to keep happening. I honestly think that new players will have a huge advantage in terms of speed to market, and not having that legacy is a real advantage. So we'll see lots of those changes. And I think the idea that a customer will do absolutely everything with one bank is a very outdated idea. I think that going forward, it should be completely normal for customers to do their banking with 86,400, to use Zip Pay, for example, for buy now, pay later, which, by the way, you can actually see those payments in your 86,400 app. So we're still helping people take control of their money. They might use another platform for their superannuation, and we may not be the person who manufactures that superannuation, but we would look to actually make it visible in the app at some point in time so they can see it. And so, our philosophy is we can't do everything ourselves, but we can certainly work with other smart partners.
Integration with the technology, even that's the future of financial services.
Absolutely.
Fantastic. Rob, thanks for your time today. Really appreciate it. And it has been an exciting journey, and all the best with the business and with the upcoming capital raising. For anyone who's watching these programs, please do download the 86,400 app and give it a try. And if you're lucky enough, you can get your loan in 2 to 3 hours, like Rob said.
Absolutely. Look, thanks for having me, Eric. It's an absolute pleasure to chat. Cheers.
Thanks a lot. You take care. Bye-bye.